Hi, everyone. Welcome to What's in Store for 2024 with the World Animal Protection Programs team. Thank you so much for joining us to learn about what we have planned to move the world for animals this year. And whoops, I'm going to, Mackenzie, can you confirm I'm sharing my screen? No, I can't tell.
Yes, I see it and it looks great.
Awesome, thank you. So as you can see on the screen, while we wait just a few more seconds for people to join, you can put your name in and where you're located in the chat. Okay, great. So I will get us started because I know we're a few minutes behind. So as a heads up, I'm going to provide some verbal descriptions of what's on your screen for people who can't see it well. My name is Liz Cabrera Holtz, and I'm a woman in my 30s. My pronouns are she, her. And I'm the Senior Campaigns Manager at World Animal Protection US, and I'll be hosting the webinar today. So you're going to learn a little bit about World Animal Protection, our team, highlights from last year, what's in store for this year, and finally we'll have time to answer questions at the end. So please put any questions into the Q&A on Zoom while you're watching. So for those of you who are new, World Animal Protection is a global animal advocacy nonprofit organization. We've been active since 1950. And our work focuses on ending the commercial exploitation of wild animals and ending factory farming. And this is a photo of one of our employees out in the streets spreading the word about animal protection. So our mission is to move the world to protect animals, and our vision is a world where animals live free from suffering. So on your screen, you'll see a map. We work across almost 50 countries with offices in 12, and you can see some of those countries include Canada, the US, the Netherlands, India, Denmark, China, and Thailand. And this is our programs team. And you'll be hearing from almost everyone today and what they're working on. Cameron Harsh is the head of the programs department, but couldn't join us today, unfortunately. So I'll be sharing their slides next, looking at what we've accomplished in 2023. So on the US side, we helped pass 2 state bills. First in Oregon, we helped with a bill that has stopped at least 3 new factory farms from opening in the state. In New Jersey, we helped with a ban on the use of gestation crates and veal crates, those very small crates that are used to immobilize pigs and cows. We also supported a law in New York City banning the sale of guinea pigs in pet stores. More on that later. And finally, our event for Climate Week NYC, in partnership with the food companies, Meaty and Plant Burger, encouraged the public to give a cluck about climate and reduce their meat consumption. Looking globally, we helped the Elephant Refuge North America, a sanctuary in Georgia, rescue Mundi, an elephant who was kept in poor conditions in the now defunct Mayaquez Zoo in Puerto Rico. We worked with Reporter Brazil to uncover meat company JBS's connections to illegal deforestation in Brazil. And we also exposed JBS as the largest climate polluter among global pig and chicken companies. Next, we pushed the global travel company Klook to publish its first animal welfare policy, which prohibits selling tickets to some of the cruelest animal attractions. And finally, we participated in COP28, raising the profile about the link between factory farming and the climate crisis. Next, we just wanted to underscore that tens of thousands of people have participated in our campaigns just in 2023 alone, from the more than 20,000 people who pledged to boycott travel companies that exploit wild animals, to the more than 35,000 people who have urged Miami Seaquarium be shut down. So now I'm going to move into what's to come in 2024. So on your screen, there's a photo of a mink in a cage with the words "Help us end mink farming in the US forever," as well as a list of the federal bills that we're supporting right now. And those bills are the Farm System Reform Act, the Plant Act, the Animal Welfare Enforcement Improvement Act, and the Better Care Act. We don't have time to discuss each bill in much depth, and I don't know how exciting that would be anyway, but I do want to give you a quick overview. So those first two bills, not surprisingly, are about factory farming. The Farm System Reform Act starts to hold factory farming companies like Purdue and JBS accountable, because for years in the United States, our government has subsidized factory farms, basically giving them a lot of legal leeway and money to do what they want. The Farm System Reform Act would place a moratorium on the biggest factory farms, stopping the creation and expansion of these facilities. And on the flip side of the same coin, the Plant Act, aka the Peas, Legumes, and Nuts Today Act, would increase government support for plant-based food producers. Because, right now the food system is wildly tipped toward meat producers. They kind of do what they want, often with governmental support, regardless of who it hurts, from animals to people to the climate. So the Plant Act is a step toward shifting away from that system. Next, we have the Mink Virus Act. This bill would end mink farming in the US. And I imagine most people who are joining us today know or already know that fur production is horrifically cruel. Wild animals like minks are kept in tiny, dirty cages before being killed, sometimes even skinned alive. But what you might not know is that fur farms are also really dangerous for public health. Mink farms are a breeding ground for zoonotic diseases like COVID-19 and avian flu. And you might have seen in the news that there have been mass outbreaks of COVID-19 on fur farms in other countries, and also some COVID-19 found on fur farms in the US, which are causing these other countries to pause or completely shut the farms down. And we're actually going to have a webinar just about fur farming and shutting down the fur industry in just a few weeks. So we will eventually, or someone will put that link into the chat, or I will, and I hope you can register and join us. Finally, we have two bills on the Animal Welfare Act. So the Animal Welfare Act is a really key federal law that's supposed to protect animals in zoos, breeding mills like puppy mills and guinea pig mills, circuses, and research labs. But due to loopholes and a lack of enforcement by the US Department of Agriculture, it's failing to prevent animals from really egregious suffering. So monkeys get frostbite and die in cages in roadside zoos in the winter. Very sick and injured guinea pigs and hamsters are sitting in mills waiting to be shipped to PetSmart and Petco. So clearly something needs to change. And I won't get into the details, but I'll just say that the Animal Welfare Enforcement Improvement Act and the Better Care Act would make really critical life-saving changes that would help shut down the worst facilities faster and remove suffering animals. Next, quickly, I'll talk about some of our key local and state issues. So on this slide, I have a screenshot of an article about PetSmart titled "PetSmarts Are Dealing with Freezers Overflowing with Dead Pets," and an article about elephant suffering in roadside zoos. So we're working with coalitions to pass bans on factory farming, fur sales bans, as well as bans on the use of wild animals in circuses and traveling shows. Those are often called circus bans. But one of our core issues that I want to highlight today is retail pet sales bans. And you've probably heard about puppy mill bans or laws that ban pet stores from selling dogs, cats, and rabbits. But we're pushing for expanded bans. So ordinances that ban the sale of other animals like guinea pigs, which you've heard about earlier in New York City, hamsters, birds, and reptiles. And these are the species you see most often sold at stores like Petco and PetSmart, and these animals are suffering in much higher numbers. Cambridge, Massachusetts, and DC are two cities that so far have expanded their bans. So finally, how to help. I have a photo on this slide. I have a photo of our retail pet sales ban toolkit with a turtle on the cover. And there are two main ways to help. They differ pretty dramatically in how much time it will take. So hopefully one of these options will be a good fit for you. First, you can actually work with your city council or county council to pass an animal protection ordinance. And as you can see, we have a toolkit for people who want to work on retail pet sales bans. So please check that out using the link in the chat or email me. Also, hopefully that will be dropped into the chat if you want to talk more specifically about retail pet sales bans. And next, you can send an email to your legislators about these bills. All of them have action alerts on our website. So just hop on, fill out your information, and send an email with one click. And I want to add that emails are really helpful, but phone calls make an even bigger difference. So if you're asked specifically by us or any group to make a phone call, I encourage you to really try. And that is it from me. And I'm going to pass it to my colleague, Nicole, next.
Thanks, Liz. Hi, everyone. My name's Nicole Barantes. I lead our corporate campaigns to ban captive wildlife entertainment in the US. So I will speak on the work that I'm doing. Next slide. Great. So I work towards creating a wildlife-friendly travel industry. And in our organization, we do that through many ways, but one of them being corporate campaigns. So some of you may know, we have had an active campaign on Groupon since 2022. And we also have a new campaign coming up on a company called Get Your Guide. So with Groupon, we've been campaigning for almost 2 years now. Back in June, we held an in-person demonstration in Chicago during Groupon's stakeholder meeting. And following that demonstration, we were able to make contact with the CEO, and he has agreed to meet so we are following up because he mentioned for us to meet in January. So we are following up on our ask for Groupon to stop selling wildlife entertainment. So we will keep you all updated on that. So the second campaign is Get Your Guide. Many of you may not be familiar with this target, but they are a Berlin-based travel company that is ramping up their activity in the US. They also sell wildlife entertainment, so they sell swimming with dolphin shows and performances and things like that. So we are going to campaign on them as well. So also, as a side to our corporate campaigns, we work on alternatives in the industry. So last year, in partnership with the World Cetacean Alliance, we released the Wildlife Heritage Areas program. So you could think of it as similar to the UNESCO World Heritage Sites, but this has a focus on wildlife. They are destinations around the world that highlight responsible wildlife tourism and community-led wildlife experiences. So last year, the first one in the US was released. It was the Santa Barbara Channel Whale Heritage Area. So to help promote the site, myself and other team members, we will table at this year's Santa Barbara Earth Day Festival. So if you live in Santa Barbara or the neighboring cities, we will be there. So definitely come by if you can. We're going to have a lot of fun activities for people to learn more about whale watching, to encourage them to go see these animals in the wild, as opposed to all these terrible venues where they are exploited. So that's for this slide. And next. So some of you may also know that we have an active campaign to permanently shut down Miami Sea Aquarium. Miami Sea Aquarium is a venue based in Florida with decades of animal welfare violations. Last year, their most notable resident, Tokate, also known as Lolita, passed away. And also there have been following animal deaths at the venue. So we have a petition on our site with a goal of 1 million signatures, and we're also working on the ground with activists to put pressure on local government. But yesterday, actually, there's been some really great news that the mayor, so the company that has ownership of the Miami Sea Aquarium right now is called the Dolphin Company, and they have been, over the last several months, just sent a bunch of USDA violations, animal welfare violations. As I mentioned, there were numerous animal deaths, and they also are in debt to the Miami-Dade County, where they are just not paying. So yesterday, the mayor is seeking to terminate the lease from the Dolphin Company. So there is a very high possibility that the Seaquarium will shut down permanently. But there's a lot of moving parts going on, and we will make sure to update you all as our supporters on what happens next. But this would be a really great win for everyone involved, especially to the local activists in Miami. They deserve a special shout out for their decade-long work in campaigning against this venue. So that is all for me. Thank you.
Sorry, I was muted. Hi, everyone. My name is Annette Manasevich, and I'm the Farming Campaign Manager here at World Animal Protection. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a woman of Caucasian descent in my late 20s. I'm excited to share some of our farming programs with you for this upcoming year. Next slide, please. In 2024, we are putting our meat reduction work front and center with a focus on corporate engagement and increasing accessibility to plant-based products. Like last year, we will be taking part in New York City Climate Week with exciting events that will be focused on meat reduction and working with exciting plant-based food producers to provide plant-based food options and meat alternatives and showcasing those options to the public. As shown on the right is a picture of our team outside of our food truck pop-up event that happened this past year, where we handed out plant-based sandwiches to people in New York City. And our food systems panel event that we had this past year at Columbia University, where we talked about transformative food systems. We are also planning on launching a new Moving the Menu report in 2024. It's a report we've launched before in the past, but this year we'll focus on the availability of plant-based products across major fast food chains using a ranking scorecard. We'll be using this report to increase our corporate engagement with key companies, asking for plant-based options, and then also using it to provide guidance on restaurants that are taking initiatives to support plant-based eating. So stay tuned for that this year. Next slide, please. Our No Future for Factory Farming work will also remain a priority, continuing our focus on JBS as the largest global meat producer and continuing our investigative work that we did this past year as well. We will continue developing the resources and exploring opportunities to stop its destruction of our food systems and look for opportunities for public engagement on these issues. Shown on the right is a protest that we participated in this past year as part of Climate Week regarding their IPO launch. So more opportunities like that to come this year. You can help now by signing onto our Ban Factory Farming pledge that will be sent in the chat. That basically is just a pledge to support the end of factory farming in the US. We will also be exploring different opportunities and developing resources related to cultivated meat. As you might know, last year cultivated meat was cleared for sale in the US and approved by FDA. So we are looking to be a collaborative player in this space, working with innovative companies to provide resources that showcase their products and commitment to mitigating environmental impact and ending animal suffering. And the pictures on the slideshow show examples of some cell-cultivated products. So yeah, lots of exciting things, but that's all for me.
Hello, everyone. My name is Miguel Andara. I recently joined this wonderful team late last year as Programs Manager, which means I will be tasked with producing compelling stories this year and the following years. My pronouns are he, him. My background is a picture of pigs enjoying a day in the sun, so hope you enjoy this beautiful scenery. Next slide, please. Yeah, so last year in 2023, World Animal Protection helped relocate an elephant named Mundi to a sanctuary. But many other elephants still lack the protection they deserve. Like Joyce, she's an elephant from Mundi's herd and has spent many years working as performer and entertainer in a variety of venues, including circuses and zoos, and being transported to different venues in different locations multiple times. So she's finally ending up at she ended up at a Six Flags Wildlife Safari Park, which is in New Jersey. And for this story, we will be collaborating with experts and researchers to share Joyce's story, calling for Six Flags to shut down the safari park and ultimately advocating for an end in elephant captivity in the US. Another similar story that we were working on is about cetaceans in marine amusement parks. Like Nicole mentioned earlier, the Miami Aquarium continues to face scrutiny regarding the welfare of its cetaceans, including a recent development showing that the city is now terminating their lease, which is something we're all happy about. So with Nicole, we will be telling their stories, advocating for their well-being, and again, advocating for an end in cetacean captivity in the US. Next slide, please. Another story we'll be working on this year is how water depletion in the US is affecting wildlife species. So we'll be focusing on the environmental damages caused by industrial animal agriculture, which includes species extinction, habitat loss, and environmental degradation, and how this underscores the urgent need for sustainable and ethical alternatives within our food production. And one significant harm that is often overlooked is the impact on our water resources. So the aim will be to shift perspectives, emphasizing how decreasing meat consumption and increasing plant-based food consumption will be very critical in preserving our natural resources, protecting wildlife, and healing our planet. Very excited about all of these stories that we're going to be talking about this year. And now passing it over to Mackenzie. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mackenzie. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm a 27-year-old Caucasian woman. My Zoom background here is an elephant. I'm the community engagement manager here at World Animal Protection, and I'm thrilled to share our new advocacy programs with you all. Next slide, please. First, we have a new supporter advocacy program called Plant-Powered Changemakers. If you're interested in plant-based foods and meat reduction, this is the platform for you. Plant-Powered Changemakers is hosted on our new volunteer platform called Circle, and it has 2 spaces or channels available for you to join. Change Your Plate will be a space for those looking for regular content like recipes, motivation, educational content, and exciting plant-based products to continue helping you meet your goals, whether that's for a few meatless days a week or eliminating animal products completely. Change Your Plate, on the other hand, is an advocacy platform dedicated to helping you grow your passion for animals into advocating for meat reduction and plant-based foods in your own communities. You'll be able to share your ideas for events, actions, or campaigns that promote plant-forward foods with our team and other animal advocates as well as access like resources from us that can help support you. This could include in-person events like tabling at local festivals, hosting documentary screenings, but most importantly, hearing your community initiative ideas and helping you bring them to fruition. If you're interested in becoming a change maker with us, I've included a QR code that you can scan with your phone. It'll take you right to our sign-up page and make it as easy as possible for you to join us. But for those unable to scan the QR code at this time, a sign-up invitation will be included in the chat and our follow-up email as well. Next slide, please. And as exciting as Plant-Powered Changemakers is, that's not all. In 2024, we'll also be launching a newly revamped volunteer platform that gives you the opportunity to be involved in all of our campaign areas, like a team of volunteers holding up a banner outside of Groupon's corporate headquarters pictured on the slide. Whether you have a passion for policy or you're keen to be a wild animal advocate, we'll have opportunities for you to become a World Animal Protection volunteer in a way that best suits your interests and your goals. We've already touched on several campaigns, such as Miami Seaquarium and various legislative campaigns that we'll be building out volunteer projects for. It's still in development, but we will open to our supporters very soon. But in the meantime, I want to invite you all to be the first to know about the volunteer program launch. So here's another QR code you can scan with your phone to sign up for updates, but the link to join the waitlist will also be in the chat and in our follow-up email as well. And that's all from me. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mackenzie. Also, what's coming up in 2024 from a global perspective, in collaboration with our country offices, as well as our partnering organizations, We're going to continue to pressure authorities in Romania to rescue Baloo. If you're on our email list, you've already heard some about the story of Baloo, who is being held in captivity at a ski resort, being fed an improper diet, being taunted sometimes by guests. So we're working to pressure authorities in Romania to rescue Baloo and transfer him to our partnering sanctuary, Liberty, which is also in Romania. We'll also be calling for the Thai government to ban elephant captivity. Again, if you're familiar with our work, you know for decades we've worked trying to protect the elephants who are being used for entertainment, being held in pseudo sanctuaries, illegitimate sanctuaries. They're being held to be sold so tourists can, wash them, bathe them, take pictures with them. And it's far past time for this exploitative industry to come to an end. So we'll be having an international call for the Thai government to legally ban captivity, or ban breeding rather, make this the last generation of elephants who are living in captivity. We're also working to establish an elephant rescue fund in Thailand, expose how endangered maned wolves in Brazil are threatened by factory farming, and continue to pressure the South African government to end captive lion breeding. So we've moved very quickly through what we have planned for 2024, and now we invite everyone to ask questions. So I'll also ask the other panelists to come on screen, but stay muted unless you're speaking, and we can start answering some questions. So let's see. So, well, actually, first, I have a question for everyone. I would love to hear what you're looking forward to most this year, and we can start with Annette.
I'm looking forward to our Climate Week event again. Those always have a great turnout and really feels great to meet with supporters and people excited about plant-based eating in person. So excited for that this year.
Mackenzie?
Most excited to see how our volunteer program and our Plant Powered Changemakers programs begin to unfold throughout 2024. We're super excited to be able to work with our supporters in their volunteer journeys and see where their ideas take them and their impact for animals. So I am fully ready and geared up for our supporter engagement programs in 2024.
Thanks, Mackenzie. Why don't we go to Miguel next?
Sure. I'm really excited about all the projects we're working on, to be honest, but I'm, I think, really excited about Joyce's story. Her story is very compelling. She's got a long history of performing and entertaining people, and just very excited to see that the last chapter of her life could be a sanctuary and a happy life. So very looking forward to that.
I might be too positive, but I'm excited for Miami Sea Aquarium to shut down, and I'm excited for Groupon and Get Your Guide to stop selling wildlife entertainment.
Thanks, everyone. Nicole, could you elaborate a little more? Because that's something, could you tell us a little bit more about Groupon and Get Your Guide, since you didn't have much time to go into that in detail?
Sure, yeah. So with Groupon, I mentioned that we are hoping to meet with the CEO this month or next month. But we all know sometimes how companies and heads of companies can act. So if we don't hear back from the CEO, we will resume our campaign activities, and that will likely entail another demonstration in Chicago at their stakeholder meeting. We were everyone pretty much noticed us and what we were doing, and the fact that we got like a response from the CEO after that. So we'll do that again. With Get Your Guide, in September, there is a really big, it's like the largest travel industry conference. It's called Skift Global Forum, and it's in New York City every year. And I'm based in New York City, so we would have a protest demonstration out there calling on Get Your Guide, putting pressure on them as well. 'Cause they are a company that care more about their brand image and how they're perceived. So we're hoping because their brand awareness is so low in the US, we could really put pressure on them that we don't accept them as a company for selling these horrible tickets. So yeah, there's some things going on there.
Thanks, Nicole. I have a question for Annette from someone in the chat. It says cultivated meat seems like a great way forward. How long before it's readily available?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's honestly kind of up in the air. There's a few companies that have been approved by the FDA for sale and have had their like final product approved for sale by the FDA. That's kind of the limiting process for a lot of companies right now, is it takes about a year, year and a half to get FDA approval after you've created like a product that's available. So a lot of companies have a product but are just, yeah, like waiting for FDA approval, like I mentioned. So this year we're kind of working to create resources and work with companies to kind of create availability and get a sense of when things would be available in public. There's a lot of companies that are trying to launch things in stores. So to summarize, I think it would most likely be like 2025 would be the earliest we'd see something in stores or available like in restaurants for public consumption. But yeah, it's just a process for sure. So just stay tuned for things that are coming out. I think it's an industry that's growing very rapidly and will continue to grow and to have options available.
Thanks, Annette. And this is next, we have a question for, I think a couple people can answer. So someone is asking, what other major organizations do you partner with? So I can start by saying that especially when we work on legislation, because we're not primarily a lobbying organization, we definitely work closely with other big groups like the Humane Society of the United States, the Animal Welfare Institute, on those bills. The Animal Welfare Institute is the organization that's one of the leads on the Mink Virus Act, which I mentioned, and will be someone from that organization will be a guest speaker at our webinar. We also work with different sanctuaries and smaller groups and state groups in various capacities. And Annette, could you share, I believe we had some people, different smaller groups participate in Climate Week. Could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so during Climate Week, we worked with a few plant-based food products. Meaty is actually a mycelium or mushroom root-based food product that we worked with to create sandwiches for our food truck. And then we worked with Plant Burger, which is a local plant-based restaurant in New York City. And we also, those were all for the food truck. And so for the panel, we also collaborated with Craig Willingham, who is part of the center. Sorry, I'm misremembering the university, but it's CUNY. So they're part of the Urban Food Institute, I think is the name of it. So yeah, so they were part of our panel. And so we kind of just look all over the board to see people we can collaborate with that are kind of leaders in the space regarding meat reduction and plant-based options.
Thanks, Annette. Oh, Nicole, yeah, please share.
Hi, yes, before I lose this question, I saw someone named Catherine Woods said, could you go over the ways the public can help factory farming? More details, please. And although I don't work on our factory farming campaigns, I did think of a way the public can really help from personal experience. So we all know documentaries are super powerful. Like anytime I tell someone what I do for work, they bring up Blackfish. But my brother, who is not a vegetarian, vegan, or doesn't care about animals. He saw the Netflix documentary, You Are What You Eat. It's like the twin experiment. And kid me not, like he doesn't really eat, like he's like trying to be a pescatarian, or I'm just very surprised at how impactful this documentary was on him. So I recommend like sharing documentaries, because I think that's really, or watching documentaries is one way the public can really help end the industry, because I saw what such a big impact it had on him. So hopefully that answers your question. But I wanted to share that because it was a really good doc. I saw it actually because of him. So, and it is good. So
Yeah,
anyway.
definitely. Thank you. Thank you, Nicole. And thank you for flagging the question. Annette, as our Factory Farm campaign manager, could you also provide some more details about how the public can help end factory farming?
Yeah, so I saw Mackenzie threw something in the chat about signing on to our petitions and actions that would support outreach to your legislators. I'll mention that the legislative component is definitely important. Like Liz mentioned, calling your legislators when we have those actions definitely adds to visibility for our actions. We actually have a call-in day on February 7th. I'm not sure we have a link live for that yet, so I will stay posted for that just via email alerts. But it's a call-in day for the Defeat Eats Act, which is a dangerous legislation that would oppose the Eats Act, which would basically undo a lot of the legislation that is existing towards protections for farmed animals, like gestation crate bans and cage-free ordinances. So that's something that is definitely impactful when we have those actions and kind of call-in days that would kind of bring a lot of people towards an action. So things like that would definitely be impactful. I also think just staying in touch with your local legislators and keeping an eye on actions that are going around in your communities or cities that deal with factory farming or new factory farm bills that are coming in would definitely be impactful.
Thank you, Annette. Miguel, do you have anything to add since documentaries are coming up and that's part of your specialty? Any thoughts you want to share on factory farming and education or the power of film or education in that area?
Yeah, I think Nicole's advice actually is really great. That's something that I always do. I always recommend documentaries. I have a whole list of them. If they're into health, I recommend a certain group of documentaries. If they're interested in the environment, I offer a different category. But yeah, documentaries are great. They're entertaining, they're short, right? You don't have to read long articles or any books. It's, an hour and a half of your time. But I also think just another good way of motivating people to, stay away from animal products is to show them good food. If you're a cook or if you like cooking, cook for people. I do that all the time. I like inviting people over the house, making good meals, make sure it's really good. It can't be okay. It has to be fantastic and excellent. We have to set the bar. And that gets people interested. I've had a lot of people change their minds about vegan food just by the power of cooking a delicious meal or going to delicious restaurants, but always trying to show delicious food, plant-based foods in front of people that is really one of the best ways that you can get people to stay away from animal products altogether.
Thanks, Miguel. And I guess I'll just bring everyone into this conversation. Mackenzie, I see that you've put some information into the chat. Could you share a little bit about how people could use some of the new opportunities you discussed to help end factory farming?
Yeah, of course. I think this is a really great opportunity to join our Plant Powered Change Makers space, particularly the Change Your Community space. Because you can work with us at World Animal Protection to put on documentary screenings in your community, maybe even organizing, I was about to put in the chat, organizing like a plant-based food crawl with your friends and family throughout your neighborhood or throughout your city. Would just be so much fun. And there's ample opportunities to be able to get involved in motivating not only your immediate social circle, but also your greater community, motivating them to eat less animal products and explore more plant-based foods with us through that Plant Powered Changemaker space. So I would highly encourage folks joining that if they're interested.
Thank you, Mackenzie. I'm seeing a few more questions in the chat. One easy, do we help with any animal research? No, that's not a topic we help on. Of course, we're really supportive of the groups who are working on animal research, but our focus is on animals who are exploited in the food system as well as animals in wildlife. Though one new area, as you might have guessed that from our fur webinars, that we are branching more into fashion. And we're hoping in the coming year also to uplift some of the amazing innovations that are happening in the fashion world. Just like cultivated meat, there's also kind of, the term is next gen, new materials that are replacing animal products. So I'd say at World Animal Protection, we're really excited about these solutions, about these new alternatives that are coming up, and trying to get people similarly excited. So I think we have time. It's maybe for one more question for the group. I would love to hear from everyone what, I guess we already shared what we're most looking forward to, but I'd love to hear what's inspiring people right now. And I'll start. I realize I didn't answer the last question, but I'll start and saying it's kind of double. This is what I'm looking forward to most inspired by the work that's happening around retail pet sales bans. I've seen so much work being done for dogs and puppy mills, over the last 15 years. And I'm really inspired by all the pushes I'm seeing in various parts of the country to think about these other animals like the bearded dragons, parakeets, guinea pigs, who for so long have been neglected. People caring about them as well. I find that really inspiring. I feel like we're expanding our circle of compassion every day. So if you're similarly excited, please get involved with the retail pet sales bans and reach out to me. And I will pass it to Annette next to tell us what you're feeling inspired by.
Yeah, I'm definitely inspired by the plant-based and meat alternative movement kind of expanding its reach. I think that a lot of the harm that companies are doing is being brought to the public more and more each day, and people are kind of realizing the impacts that this has on their lives and on their on animal lives as well. And so it's encouraging to see that more people are getting involved and more people are seeing the options with eating plant-based products and meat alternatives like cultivated meat being brought forward as a great alternative, and kind of the future of the space really moving towards the direction that I think is promising.
Thanks, Annette, and I'll pass it to Mackenzie.
I'm just inspired by so much, both on the wildlife and farming side of the work that we do, but I'm borrowing from Annette's inspiration and just seeing how many like plant-based and like animal-friendly foods are popping up on store shelves. One of the aspects of the Change Your Plate space over in the Plant Powered Changemakers is I share new and exciting plant-based products that I find in grocery stores. And I can't remember a time where I used to be able to visit different grocery stores in my area and almost find something new every time I go to a grocery store. The accessibility with plant-based and animal-friendly foods, I think, is being addressed, and there's still a long ways to go, but I'm still just really inspired by the accessibility improvements that we're seeing in the space.
Thanks, Mackenzie, and I'll pass it to Miguel.
There I am. Yeah, just thinking right now what I'm really inspired about. First off, I will say that I'm really inspired by all the work that World Animal Protection has been doing so far. Like I stated earlier, excuse me, I'm new to the team, but so far I've been really just learning about all the stuff that we've done throughout the years, and it's really encouraging to see like-minded people doing such great work for the animals and how motivated people can be when it comes to helping animals. So really inspired by that and just happy to be part of that team. And also, like Mackenzie said, I'm just really inspired by all the new accessible vegan food that is popping up around here locally and around the US and around the world. All the new restaurants that are vegan now and are changing their menus. Really, really inspiring. So I'm very happy to see that. And I'm glad to be part of that movement. So really happy about that.
Thanks, Miguel. And finally, Nicole.
Thanks. Hope you don't hear the siren. I'm inspired by the local activists that I get to meet with the campaigns that I run. I feel like there's really such amazing, dedicated people that want to make change for animals. And, you know, aside from signing a petition, they show up to protests and demonstrations. And it makes me want to, you know, keep going and support them in ways that us as World Animal Protection can. And yeah, people that are on this call, all 34 of you, for showing up. It's inspirational. So.
Thanks, everyone. I know we didn't get to a few questions that were quite specific. So I didn't know, I thought though those were better asked by email. So if your question was put into the Q&A but not asked, please feel free to send us an email at the program's email. If you could pop that into the chat, Mackenzie, and someone will get back to you. And with that, we will bring it to a close. So how to help. An email will be sent after the webinar with actions to take from each campaign. You can share a recording of this webinar with your friends and family. And finally, you can support our work with a donation either by scanning the QR code or following the link in the chat. So thank you to everyone who joined us today, or is everyone who is watching this recorded later. And we hope to see you soon. Bye.